the geometry of the pause, the critical necessity of life's liminal spaces. ठहराव हमारी जिंदगी के खाली पन्ने क्यों जरूरी? टुडे दैट इज द टॉपिक. भागदौड़ की इस दुनिया में हम अक्सर रफ्तार को ही तरक्की मान लेते हैं. बट द ट्रू डेप्थ ऑफ द लैंडस्केप एंड ऑफ ह्यूमन लाइफ is only revealed when we slow down to let the world speak to us. In our modern routines, relationships, and friendships, there is an invisible systematic pressure to constantly move, achieve more, and to cover ground. As a psychotherapist, I see daily how human behavior pushes back against for this forced acceleration. Human beings will never be able to reveal their true nature at this hyper speed. We cannot truly know how someone is feeling, how someone is, or even how we ourselves are if we are constantly rushing around, because then everything in life is a blur. एक जेन्युइन कनेक्शन को बनाने के लिए हमें इंटेंशनली स्लो डाउन करना पड़ेगा, पॉज करना पड़ेगा एंड अपनी लाइफ को थोड़ा ठहराव देना पड़ेगा. गिविंग द अदर पर्सन द सेफ्टी टू फ्रीली एक्सप्रेस देमसेल्व्स. व्हाई द अदर पर्सन? इवन गिविंग योरसेल्फ द सेफ्टी टू ट्रूली बी योरसेल्फ. जब मैंने इस टॉपिक में सोचा तो मुझे मेरा एक 1983 का बाइक ट्रिप याद आया. राइडिंग अलोंग दैट वास्ट एक्सपेंस ऑफ राजस्थान फ्रॉम जैसलमेर टू बीकानेर वाया पोखरण. ऑन दैट लॉन्ग fiercely lonely stretch of the highway where the heat was shimmering off the road and there was this endless horizon. Everything was overwhelming. Then out of nowhere appeared a small rustic dhaba on the side of the road. ये कोई grand destination नहीं था and it was neither was it some sort of a major pit stop, but it was a sanctuary. Under the simple thatched roof, surrounded by charpoys, a clay tandoor was burning and there was hot chai available. That lonely dhaba provided a profound calmness to all those multiple travelers on that road. And most of the travelers on that road were truck drivers who were carrying things from one place to the other on a daily basis. For these men who spent days in those noisy moving cabins, this place forced a pause, एक ठहराव. Here their movement briefly slowed down. Drivers जो एक दूसरे से possibly total strangers थे, they sat shoulder to shoulder, sharing stories of the road, venting their exhaustion, and connecting their different voices over very simple food and chai. Every once in a while, the deepest insights emerge not from seeing more, but from slowing down enough for a place and its people to reveal themselves. आजकल हम लोग छुट्टी प्लान करते हैं कि वी विल गो एंड विजिट 10 प्लेसेस, आइटिनरी में टिक करने हैं. क्या वो 10 प्लेसेस रियली हमारे को या अपने आप को रिवील कर पाती? Until unless we slow down, those 10 places will only be tick marks on an itinerary. We desperately need to cultivate these liminal places, these blank pages in our notebook of life, in our diary of life. These psychologically, these are crucial intervals of decompression that protect our emotional and physical well-being. Sometimes these places can be grand and expensive, structured around our hobbies and passions. Take for instance a game of golf with a group of friends. On the surface, this is a game of skill, clubs, and yardages. But the true value of these 4 to 5 hours spent lies in our walk together or in our ride in the golf cart together. In that unhurried space between the shots, वहां पे these daily responsibility issues become secondary and they crack, showing the raw human emotion below the surface. We witness our own psychological shifts in real time here. The sudden surge of joy at a perfectly struck drive, or that flash of frustration when we narrowly miss the putt. Because we have slowed down, we are there to mirror these emotions for each other, offering genuine appreciation for a brilliant shot or a supportive nod when the ball misses the putt. As these carts run along or as we walk along, वो जो conversation है, it automatically drifts from light-hearted banter to a vast variety of topics, culminating finally at the 19th hole, where we sit down and share a nimbu pani and time and space with each other. We see the same emotional architecture in the deliberate spaces we carve out for the family. जब हम वो frantic rhythm और schedule से हटकर when we spend time with our children and our grandchildren, पूरा environment बदल जाता है. In these unhurried hours, when we are doing nothing but maybe using building blocks with a child, sharing a story, or maybe even taking a walk in the park, we are no longer directing or managing. We are witnessing. Free from the pressure of any timelines, this unburdened time becomes a beautiful, fertile sanctuary where love grows, roots deepen, and the emotional safety is quietly passed down through the generations. Perhaps nowhere is this scarcity of spaces more acute than in long-term relationships or in marriages in today. In my practice as a psychotherapist, I often observe married couples who have become beautiful, synchronized managers of the household. Yet, they are disconnected as partners. The early courting period, the honeymoon phase, once which was vibrant and filled with long, lingering conversations, gradually fade and become distant memories. In their place arrives the heavy, relentless slog of daily routines, bringing up children, managing careers, and finishing endless daily responsibilities. Couples become so efficient at maintaining the mechanics of life that they forget to maintain even the mechanics of intimacy. They forget to go on a date with each other. That relationship shifts from a living bond into just a transactional relationship. To save a marriage from eroding into a more, just about a domestic coexistence, couples must actively build a boundary around their connection. They must step off the treadmill of daily demands to rediscover the person sitting across from them, not as a co manager, but as a partner, as a companion. It is vital to understand, however, that creating these essential spaces does not always require a 4-hour game of golf or an elaborate weekend break. The mind is remarkable, very resilient, and true self care can be distilled even into a micro space, a just 5-minute cup of tea. Imagine putting down the phone, turning away from the screen, and doing absolute nothing just for 5 minutes. Engage with your cup of tea or your nimbu pani if that is what you prefer. Tune in your senses. Notice the rich aroma from the tea, the warmth of the cup, and the texture on your tongue. In this deliberate pause, you are actively grounding your nervous system. You are teaching your brain that for this brief period of time, the world can wait. One of the things that we have lost is the ritual of in the morning and the evening. Earlier, human beings didn't have to fight so hard for these intervals, what I am calling liminal spaces or the blank pages in your diary. They were woven into the fabric of our culture. Generation after generation, these spaces automatically occurred when we took a few minutes daily to pray or meditate. Those quiet minutes at dawn and dusk were natural psychological anchors. Moments where the world stopped, where ego was quietened down, and where the mind gathered itself. Somehow, in the noise of these digital notifications, in this hyper productive era, these, these grounding practices have vanished from our daily schedules. Now they are replaced in the early morning by checking our emails. And then in the evening, we continue to scroll social media. By having removed these organic pauses, we have left our brain in a state of perpetual flight, constantly burning fuel and never refueling, never recovering. It is time that we must urgently reclaim these spaces. If we do not actively schedule them, the unchecked acceleration will inevitably lead to an emotional and physical meltdown. Please ask any pilot, I am a pilot, please ask any person and they will tell you that just a little bit of preventive maintenance can help you or help the aircraft from having a major breakdown, a major engine failure. That being said, everybody says we understand all this. We need to create spaces, but how do we do this? The method is very simple. Create a digital sunrise and sunset for yourself. Dedicate 10 minutes after waking up and 10 minutes before sleeping to absolute quietness. Put aside the mobile phone. Use this time not to plan or to worry about what is going to happen tomorrow or during the day. Just breathe, just reflect, and just, if possible, return to the traditional practice of a morning and an evening prayer. That will help you put your ego to one side. Secondly, twice a day, create a microspace. Whether it is over a cup of tea, a glass of water, or just putting everything aside and staring out of the window. Step entirely away from everything. Dedicate those 5 minutes solely to sensory enjoyments or experiences. The warmth, the taste, the view. Allow your nervous system a chance to do its natural restoration work. Next, especially for people in long-term relationships and for married people, there is the non-negotiable couples date. Once in about 10 days, plan this on your calendar. Mark this on your calendar. Treat this as a hard boundary. On this date, the roles of a mother, father, household manager are all left behind at home. Just go out and simply talk, listen, and remember the person who you fell in love with. Go out on a date. We have another way to do this. Block one afternoon with your children or grandchildren where there is no agenda. No trying to go over what they studied in school. Has the homework been done? No, no agenda at all. No educational goals. No errands to run. And no devices are allowed. Sit on the floor, play their games, listen to their stories, and let the space fill with unhurried presence. And then there is the 19th hole principle, as I talked about golf. Whether it is a 4 hour sport of golf, a morning trek, or a family picnic, schedule at least one macro activity over a period of at least a month. This will force you to change the environment. Honor the transition spaces, the time spent when driving together, walking between points, sharing a cold drink afterwards. Because it is these blank spaces or liminal spaces, as we call them, where the real emotional venting and healing will take place. No, no, do not go on a picnic taking your laptop there with you and say, oh, I will finish my work there. No, this is your time to heal, not to catch up on time, on your work. Ultimately, these deliberate pauses are not a luxury. Please remember that. And they're not even an afterthought. They are critical necessities for our survival in this world which is accelerated to such massive speeds and will continue to accelerate. By intentionally putting these spaces into our timetables, we allow our minds to reset before they break. We stop merely surviving our schedules and begin to make our lives truly colorful and vibrant and deeply human. In the end, all I can tell you is do not wait for your engine to fail before you grant yourself permission. It's no point going and resting in a hospital. Build the intervals, shield your spaces, and put your timetable, put your well being on the timetable. Your self care and well being must be on your timetable today, because a life truly lived is not measured by the speed of your journey. By it is measured by the depth of the spaces in between. Remember, your life story is not the scribbling of your timetables in your diary. Your life story is on those blank pages in between, those liminal spaces in between. That is where memories are created. Start today. Thank you.